Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Alice with Sage Leaf Studio, and it looks like I have a mess on my desk, and it is sort of a mess, but it is a mass making mess. So I decided the other day to pull together a really quick and easy, and I was trying to time myself, but I'm going to try and do it again when I'm doing it with you guys. But I tried to time myself and see how long it took me to make these 8 tags, and it was really, I think it's only a couple hours. Maybe I can do it even faster this time. But what it is it's one 12 by 12 sheet of scrapbook paper and another one, and they're glued together. I used that yummy brown craft papery type for one side, and then I had this really pretty, and I thought this would be pretty for late summer or early fall, whatever, with sunflowers on it. But I had a page like that, and I glued them together. I cut them up first because I didn't think that it would work well trying to do 12 by 12s all in one gluing process, so I didn't do that. I cut them up first, I glued them together, and then I started embellishing them. And they're all basically in the same vein, I guess. Well, obviously, they look the same because they're using the same kind of paper. But, I went through and I thought, okay, what would this be cool for? Maybe I'm having a little afternoon tea, or maybe I'm getting together with my book club and I want party favors or something. I don't know, we can talk more about that in a minute. But I got some sheet music and tore it up, and so everything's basically the same but a little different. So it's not the same, obviously, sheet music. And then I had some torn pieces. I was so happy to, be able to get rid of those. But they all match, and they don't have to, but these do. And then they all have a little bit of a tea bag on them. So let me scooch you in here so you can kind of see. So they've got, a tea bag on them. And then I always have a lot of these words, words of whatever, encouragement or something, printed up in different fonts, capitals, not capitals, lowercase, uppercase, however you want to say it. And then I used, 4 of them have different strings than the other 4, but those match. There's 4 that match and the other 4 match. And I cut them in different shapes. So I did some with these kind of fancier shapes, and I did some that look more like a tag, some that are kind of, that's not a plain one. Here's kind of a plain one with just a rounding on all 4 corners. So anyway, the point being, say you've got your Sunday school class coming up and you're the leader, or you're somebody who is just a nice friend who brings goodies to the Sunday school class. So you want to make everybody something, and you want to tie in. So you know what, maybe use a page out of a hymnal, from an old hymnal or something, and tear that up and use that. Maybe you're the choir and you want to make everybody a tag or a little bookmark or something, and just as sort of like a little party favor, or just a little ditty to give away. So I was thinking of different things. Like, let's see, I had a piece of paper where I wrote some stuff down. Here it is. So like I said, like Sunday school class, or an afternoon tea, or what if you wanted to make these place cards at a luncheon for your bridesmaids? Maybe you have your book club and you want to put some torn pieces from some old books on there instead of the sheet of music. Or And then, of course, you can get off into seasonal stuff like, for Easter or Christmas. Um, I was also thinking, what if you're having a retreat, like a choir retreat? I know that happens a lot, and you could use the music. Or, maybe you're having a scrapbooking retreat and you want to make everybody who comes a little something for them to take home or inspire them or whatever. And, you can have different things uh, as far as the words and the phrases go. So, maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's something more about nature. Maybe you have a club where you get together and people are bird watching together. And so maybe they have birds on them. I don't know. Anyway, the point being, we can call them party favors. You can call them whatever you want. But if you need to mass make them, you can do that. So I am going to gather these up and get them out of the way. And isn't that pretty? I just love that paper. Anyway, get these up out of the way. I used another from that same set of papers, but a different paper to use to make my little circles. They're kind of off, but I don't care. I was thinking about what I said about, maybe for an afternoon tea, maybe something a little more, feminine or something. I was thinking about using this paper. If I can get it in the shot here. So this is 12 by 12, and it's just one-sided, so that's cool. And it's fairly heavy-duty stock. And by adding a page of the craft paper type card, you're making it that much sturdier. And these ended up pretty sturdy. So that's all that was. And of course, with the embellishments, it makes it a little stiffer, but it's a good sturdy piece. It's not flimsy or whatever. So anyway, but what I need to do, and let's see, I'm gonna try to start a timer. Okay. So I'm going to, and again, I don't think you need to try to glue these together like this. If you have good gluing skills, then you go right ahead. But I use, I'll probably be using my glue stick. So it's not gonna, I'm not gonna be able to get it all done and it stay wet long enough for me to get it in position. So I'm gonna cut. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring my cutter over here. And it's pretty simple. So if I have a 12 by 12, I'm basically just cutting it in half. So I'm going to get it to 6 inches. Okay. All right. So then I've got these two. And now I'm going to so I'm making 8 total. So I'm going to cut these in half and then half again. So this is, I don't know if you can't see it. It's all the way over there. But anyway, so it's 12. So then I'm going to go back to 6 here. And this may take me longer because I'm going to talk about it. But anyway, so these are going to end up being 3 by 6. So that's our finished size, more or less. We're going to do some rounding, but that is 6 by 3. Okay, so those two are done. And I don't want to stack them. I'm just going to do them. It goes fast enough. So I'm just going to do it this way. And it should be fine. So we've got that. That. And there we have them. I know. It's simple, simple, simple. There's not much to it, and everybody can do it. And those look great. And I love those colors. So there we have those. So I'm going to do the same thing with the brown paper and just keep moving. Okay, so there we go. That's all the cutting we're going to do. All of those are cut. All my other ones are cut. Now I'm going to assemble them, which just means I'm going to glue them together. So I'll get that going. Okay, so that went fairly quickly. Let's see, that took me about 10 minutes. And actually, it took me a little bit less because I was dilly-dallying a little bit here and there, but they look good. I don't know if my measuring was off just a little bit. Okay, this one, it's kind of weird. It made like this. I'm not mad about it, but it made like a little, I don't think that's part of the design here. It's almost like it had like a bleed through right there. So I don't know if that'll dry. It might. But anyway, I do have a few that need a little bit of trimming. See that white? So I'm going to do that real quick just with the scissors. I don't think it's bad enough to worry about getting the cutter back out about. Okay, we're back at it. I did a little bit of trimming here and there, and everything looks pretty good. So I'm going with it. So now I'm going to find thinking about using, I think I'm going to use this to be my tear strips, because look how pretty it is, and it's florally too, and it's got green on it. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Now, I already had this strip, so I could use that. Must have been where it was well, I don't know. That's not a bad piece. Anyway, but I digress. So this is going to be next, but I'm going to grab, and I'm just going to go ahead and use this sheet music again, because why not? And plus I already had it out, and it was just easy to get to. So I think I kind of did, no, let's look back here. I kind of used, I probably probably only used 2 sheets. So I can, let's see how that goes. I'm gonna start tearing. And it's, it's not a race necessarily. The point is if, you want to come up with something kind of quick and easy, but that's meaningful and everybody will just love it, but maybe you're, pressed for time and you don't want to have to sit and just make everyone something that's individual. There are times for that, maybe for somebody's birthday, for some special occasion. But if you're just, putting some stuff together for a group, or you make these up and you hoard them up and you only get them out when you need a real quick something for somebody. And if you're like me, you have a lot of tags kind of laying around and in different places. So, but that way you have them and they're ready to go. And somebody's bound to see one and say, oh my gosh, I want one of those. Or can you make me one that has more like a blue color to it, or something with some purple or whatever. So anyway, but then you've got these. Let's see, how are we looking here? Yeah, we're looking good. So those are ready. This is ready. I might tear these down just a little bit thinner, but maybe not. I'm not sure which side I'm going to use. So I'll have to decide, because I'm not inking both sides just to say I couldn't decide. I'll decide and then I'll just ink the one side. So, okay. So there we go. So now I'm going to go off on this inking terror, and I'll just bring you along real fast. Okay, you caught me. That very last one, I inked up this side, and then I looked at this side, and I decided I liked it better because it had more stuff on it. So this is the only one that got double inked. So don't hold it against me. But everything else, and I did try to kind of pay attention. Actually, I know some of these, so I was like, oh yeah, I want to see that. So we've got some titles and some not. So that's fine. Okay, so there's that. Now we're all set with these. They're looking good. Hopefully they're kind of straight. Luckily with all these jaggedy edges, it's hard to tell. One might be a little off. But you know what? It's okay. And I was trying to kind of look at the other side to see if I thought the flowers were, I don't think it really matters. It's up, down, sideways. So, but if there were like some big flowers like those, I made sure they were sort of up. Anyway, so we're good with our music. And next, we're going to work on our, let's see, our tea bags. And this would be great if, I was using these for an afternoon tea. So I've got some tea bags. Let me see. I think I've got some that are already, yeah, down here in the bottom. I had started taking some apart already. Oh, I just love the color. And of course, I'm not even going to bother inking these because, my God, look at them. They're a beautiful color already. They don't need it. So it's just a matter of finding the seam. It kind of comes right away. There's still a little bit of tea. A little bit of tea leaves inside there. Oh yeah, that one's got quite a bit. Let me see if I can dump that in the floor. Okay. Then I've got these, and I don't know, there's something about the little edges that I'm not as crazy about. So oftentimes I will go and just tear those little, well, maybe that one doesn't have it so much. Like on this one, well, maybe it doesn't. No, it does. I like to just kind of tear that extra little bit off there, and it just sort of helps make it look a little more. It's where, I don't know if you can see it, but it's like, it's kind of pleated, and I'm sure just so it'll hold together. I mean, that's the whole point of the tea bag. Anyway, but I don't need much. I think I can probably get, let's see. Let's see if I can get this out of the way. I can probably use like third. I think I could get it into fourths and it would still be good. I just sort of smush it on there. I don't necessarily have a, I don't want it to be like, I want it to be straight necessarily. I want it to kind of be crinkly. So let's, yeah, kind of like that. Okay. You know what? I think I'm trying to decide because on the ones that I made before, I put the strip down first, but I don't know. I was thinking maybe I want to put the strip down on top of the tea bag this time. So I think I'm going to try one and just see. So now I'm going to, I'm messing up my timeline because, I wanted to show you how fast we could do this, but we are doing it fast. It's no big deal. Okay, I've already got 4 pieces. So out of 1 tea bag. So let me mess with this. And all I'm going to do, and this gets kind of messy, but all I'm going to do is take my glue book. Goodness. And I'm just going to sort of, yeah, I'm going to do this side. Just run my glue stick over this just a little. And I'm about to get really sticky. But I just want all those edges, and I reserve the right to go back and kind of help myself re-glue areas. See, I want it kind of squinched up, not too much, but just sort of push it together in places. And then so what that happens there is you end up with these folds, which is okay, but you just want to make sure that that's not going to hinder anything else you're going to put on there. So this part takes just a little bit of, well, I don't know if it's finesse, but I'm going to say it takes a little bit of finessing to make sure that your tea bag stays where you want it to, because that glue's coming up through there, and that's good. That's a good thing. And it'll dry. It'll dry easy enough. You just want to make sure your edges are down good. So yeah, I think this is going to work. That one wants to stick to me. Anyway, I'm okay with that. Kind of covering up the, you don't have to put them all in the same place, just like on these other ones that I did. Some of my swatches were, oh, sorry, some of my swatches are, on one side and one the other, so that's okay. And even my tea bags. So I'm gonna go with this, and I'm actually gonna do a test. What did I do with that piece that I had that was torn? Okay, I can't. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Okay, it wasn't torn, but I was gonna use it as one of my torn pieces. I don't know where it came from, my little stash of stuff that was already cut up, so it was a good thing I looked in there, because that's how I found this and was like, oh, I think I still have a full sheet of that. And I did, and here we are. So we're going to do this. Yeah, this had kind of a, I don't know what I was doing with this at the time. Do that. How much longer? How long do I want it? I want it right maybe in there. So I'm going to go ahead and tear that and get this. So this one's kind of a skinny piece because I started out with such a skinny piece. But that's okay. So bear with me while I get this one torn. My fingers are sticking together. And I got to get my ink on. Looking good. I love this color. I'm thinking this would be a really cool set to do if you were doing like a tea or a luncheon, because of the tea bag. And I have in my tea bag stash, I have all these, oh, I've already inked that one, these tags from Bigelow, the Earl Grey, because that's what my husband loves to drink every morning, because real bergamot matters. Well, yes, it does. I love bergamot. I have some tea that I like that is bergamot forward, and we actually grow bergamot out in our garden, and that's a whole nother story. But I thought, well, wouldn't it be cute to have this on here somewhere? I don't know, that might be too much, but if you were doing a tea, that would be a really cute idea. I would definitely put a tea bag tag, label, whatever, on there. And, I don't know, maybe find some paper that has little teacups or something. Anyway, I'm not going to use them on this one, but I just wanted to show you that. So I've still got, oh yeah, I forgot what I'm doing. So get rid of these. So now I'm supposed to be gluing this on top of the tea bag. to decide if that's really how I want it to look. And it's going to be too late because that tea bag is stuck. Maybe, you know what, maybe I'll put it, well, I hate to put it over all that crinkly because I thought that was kind of cool. So I think I'm going to put it right here on this one. And you never know where your crinklies are going to show up. So let me give this a good pressing with my creaser. Make sure that's staying down. You know, I'm okay with it. And then when I get to my, using my, let's see, find one, choose to shine, choose to shine. Of course, I'm going to tear the edges off. Yeah, that's fine. I like that. That's okay. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to put down the tea bags first, and then I'm going to come back with my little paper torn swatchy thing. So there's that. Here, since we're here, let's just go ahead and get this one going. Usually this is where I get real sticky because I don't lay this down on my glue pad. Just do it on my fingies. Now they're sticky. And I like it about right there, I do. Okay. Yeah, that's cute. You know, it's simple. It's not a big deal. It's very quaint. I'll figure out what I'm going to do here in a minute. Okay, I'm going to get after getting these tea bags ready to go and get them on there. And so that's going to take me a little while because of that whole situation with the trying to squinch it up and stuff. So that'll probably be my biggest time suck will be doing that. So anyway, but I will hurry us through it for the video, and we'll come back and talk about it when I'm done. Okay, so that was a really sticky situation, and you saw my glue book was getting really sticky, but it actually kind of worked to my advantage because the more glue I left on there, it helped me with the tea bags because it's easier just to let the glue just get all get it all impregnated in there. And so it's wet on the top, and I was using the glue stick to just sort of batten it down, and that worked out fine because that's disappearing glue, and or it's not disappearing glue, the color disappears. If the glue disappeared, we'd be in trouble. Nothing would be stuck. Anyway, so it's a little bit wet right now, but that's okay. I'm over here getting it all wet. But we'll let those dry. So while we're doing that, you could see, and we've got our little finished one over here. So now I'm just trying to lay these around and let them dry and not be on top of one another. Move that guy out of the way. So now I want to cut this guy down because it's going to be really hard for me to hand tear it. I could use my little tearing. You know what? Maybe I will. I'm always scared of this thing, and I'm talking about, hang on, I got to put a lid on something before I forget. I'm talking about my ruler with the little tear edge. And this thing scares me because I've already like ripped my arm. Didn't, I got too close to it. And those teeth are sharp. I hardly ever use this side. I almost always use this side. So anyway, so yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go along and tear. I've got to leave myself room to tear the other side, and I'll probably hand tear that one. But it makes kind of, obviously a cleaner edge and doesn't leave you with it's a little bit of the white edge, extra white edge on one side, but not nearly as bad as when you're tearing it. It just tends to do that. So these might look a little uniform. And I probably can get, gosh, let's see, one. Yeah, I can definitely get 2 out of each strip. So I'll do that and just keep getting myself a few off of here. Okay. Yeah, how many folks have injuries from your crafting tools? I mean, I've nearly sewn myself before, and I'm not, well, clearly I'm not a good seamstress, or I wouldn't have almost sewn myself before, but sewing and this thing and hole punching even, and of course cutting, using cutters and stuff. I mean, who wouldn't be worried about, that. Um, my gosh, the other day I was using my crocodile and I pinched. I don't know how I got my hand in the wrong place, but I pinched myself and it was not good. It really hurt. So let's see here. Let's get one of these and let's look and see what we're looking at as far as length. So I'm thinking like right in here. And then we need another one, and that one's a little bit too long, so we're going to take him down to there. So that's a good size. So there's this. Okay, wait. I got to get my edges torn. Okay. Did that. And then we've got this. See, and that's what I'm talking about. There's a little more, there's a little extra edge on that one. So we're going to take that off. And then we're going to take this down to that size. So I've got 4. That one's already done. 5. This one's going to be number 6. And this one's going to be number 7. Yeah. And then this can be number 8. Do I want to have to mess with that? That one's going to be skinny. Let's see. I don't have to tear the whole thing. Do that. Do that. And then just do a really tiny. So this guy's going to be different because it's a hand tear. And I wonder if it'll be noticeable. So if you are giving this to a group of people, you think they're all going to sit around and compare each other's and go, oh, well, I want that one because it's got a different edge on it, or that one's, the tea bag's more stained, or I don't know. I'm always, kind of fantasizing about who ends up with what and what it, how it affects them. And okay, so we've got our little guy that's done. So get him out of the way over here. He's our inspiration. And so it's time to, yep, got to ink. So I'm going to get after it and keep moving. How am I doing? I'm doing pretty good. I'm already almost at an hour. So this video will not be that long because I'm, you've already seen me, I'm sure, speed up, and some things I'm just not even, just cutting away because it's like very redundant. This is, this is one of those projects where if you've got things on your mind, that's fine. Don't cut yourself. Okay. Don't glue yourself down to anything, but pay enough attention to where you don't hurt yourself, but you can it's kind of mindless. You can be thinking about other things while you're doing it, because once you get the repetition going and start being a machine about it, then you can move along. So there you go. Okay, so that worked out and went pretty fast. Inked my thumbnail, but that's kind of par for the course for me. So now it's time to get back to gluing. I've definitely got to get a new gluey page going here, and I think they're still a little tacky, but that's okay because we're about to glue right on top of that, so that'll work. So I'm just gonna, oh yeah, switch this page. Okay, and here we go. Okay, we're ready for the next step. And doesn't that soup look good? Carrot ginger soup. I thought it was tomato soup, but I could do carrot ginger soup. Okay, so now I got to come back over here because I kind of threw all my words in a pile when I was trying to get all this stuff out of the way. So I'm going to bring them back over. We're going to decide what we're going to put. And honestly, we don't care. Well, some things were, I was thinking comfort, not farm to table for this. So comfort could work. And I'm not really caring. I don't care which one gets what. When I'm tearing these away, I try to kind of be, we're going to keep that guy for another day. I've actually done some recipe books and stuff like that, and use that farm to table and recipes and notes. Anyway, I try to kind of do the area the same on both sides of the word, if that makes sense. I leave about the same amount of white space. That one's side's a little bit bigger, but that's okay on that one. So that looks good. And then this one, we are already kind of decided because we're so close over here when I cut it. Evidently I cut it, so we're definitely going to go about that same distance on this side. And I like that. Consider the beauty. And how about this? This is Grateful Heart, and I've got all this room here, so I could come way over here. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect, and you don't have to do this. And definitely, if you've got something kind of, long, that's sort of a longer phrase or whatever, you need to be mindful of, is it going to fall off the page? Is it going to fit on my tag or whatever? So these are all looking pretty good. I like lovely. I love blessed. So I think lovely could work. So let's go about halfway in between it and another word or phrase, believe in yourself. And I think if we go just right down the middle, we have that one. Oh, that one looks long though. So you know what we're going to tear it down just a little, just to get it kind of, I don't want it too close to the edge. So that's perfect. All right, and then here's our blessed. And that one we can leave a little room since it's just one word. Let's see, I don't want to repeat. So let's see, what else do we have here? Oh, see, there's another believe. Well, it's just believe, not believe in yourself, but do what you love. I always love to use that one. I use that a lot. I have that just, kind of print. I either what I like to do is print them first and then tea stain the page. But I have been known to take a crinkly piece of tea stained paper that has nothing on it yet, um, and print on it, which is not the easiest thing to do. But sometimes when you're in a pinch and you don't want to have to take the time to tea stain. So let's see, how many do I need? I need 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I already have 8. So none of them. Believe in yourself, lovely. Light the way is one of them. Let the sun shine in. Best day ever. That's always cute or nice. Love yourself first. Like lovely, but I'm feeling like lovely and comfort maybe need to be replaced by a phrase. So love yourself first. Take the long way. Do what you love. Believe in yourself. Consider the beauty. Oh, blessed is just one word also, which is okay. I like it because it's, there's a hymn under here and grateful heart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we're going to do let the sunshine in. See, this is what takes so long. And I already scrutinize this stuff to a degree. So, but I'm sure that that's what took me so long when I made the other ones, was because I was looking at all the different papers I might use and trying to figure out what sheet music and stuff like that. So I'm going to right away put my words up. I just have them in this little guy here to just kind of help me. These are actually mostly blank. There's some bigger things for when I do like botanical journals or animal journals or whatever. But, oh, see, there are recipes and notes. I don't know if you can see that, but there's one that's down there. Okay. We're rabbit trailing. We're taking up our time. I don't know. I didn't really put a for sure time on myself. Oh, yeah, these little scraps are good. I have plenty, though, so I'm getting rid of them. Anyway, but, I wasn't really saying that I was trying to get it done in a certain amount of time because I don't want to just, I don't know, I don't want to do it that fast and make it feel mechanical, I guess. So it's really, I still want to enjoy it. But again, if I were in a bit of a time crunch, this would be the way I would, want to put together a little grouping of these. And of course, you could do a huge mass make, like say you do have a bunch of time, you have a week, but you need 32 of them or whatever. So, you get to going and do everything. Maybe one night you do all your gluing of your pages together, and the next night, so break it up, but that way you kind of have control over it, and you know what you're doing, and you're being repetitious, but you're getting it done, and you're not, leaving out a step or whatever by trying to do one at a time. Or that would just be, I mean, could do that, and I've certainly done that where they've all been different in some way. That makes sense. But in this case, you're looking for that continuity amongst them because of how you're maybe going to use them, how you're going to present them, the presentation. So I'm just really thinking this would be I'd love this for either an afternoon tea or a luncheon, and these could be place cards, place setting cards, at the table, or I don't know, just I really like the idea of making, I don't know, these are, I consider them a little bit big for a bookmark, but they could be a bookmark. But if you were going to do something for a book club or something like that, then maybe they'd be a little bit skinnier, maybe a little taller. I don't know. Anyway, so while I droned on about that, I got all that inking done on our words. And now, I don't care which ones go on what, so I'm just going to get after it and get these on here. And good and sticky. And I like how that looks there. Getting a little glue here and there, and that's okay. Yeah, and, you know, there's still some texture going on with the tea bags, and that's okay. I like things to be kind of 3D-ish, or you know, just have some sort of depth to them. It makes me happy. Do what you love. Make yourself happy. Okay, so I hate to cover up "To God be the glory," but I think I'll put that there so that I don't cover it up. There we go. We're just blowing through these, aren't we? Kinda. Not really, but in a sense. Okay. I don't know what that says. Cover it up. Cover it up. I sound like Miss Rachel. My granddaughter loves to watch Miss Rachel. Man, does she have it going on. Who knew? And there's lots of those out there now. There's somebody called Kate, I think it's Caitlin's Classroom or something. She's real cute. Believe in yourself. I like that. And look, it's faithfulness. I think it's the other side of the "great is thy faithfulness" in peace. So I'm getting sticky. But that sounds good because, you know, have faith in yourself, believe in yourself. It kind of goes together. Again, I'm always looking for a little bit of a story or, you know, a way to tie things together. Ooh, I was about to wipe my hands on my shirt. Okay. Oh, and I do see "grateful heart" here, and then I see "great is thy." It's the other side of that. And I kind of don't want to, I do want to make sure that I don't get "grateful heart." I think it'd look weird. It may make sense to some people, but I think it would be a little bit too much "great, great, great," even though it's, you know, spelled differently when it's "grateful." And why is that? Why is it like cheese grater great instead of just, why can't you say "grateful"? GREATFUL or FULL. These are the questions. These are the questions. The things that, you know, keep me up at night, or I ponder when I'm in the shower, or I don't know. Oh, a lot of glue on this one. You know what? I kind of want to do this thing where I just do kind of straight across. I'll probably come back and bite me in the butt because it's not going to be straight, maybe. Let's see. Straight enough. I mean, it's definitely in line with up here, the border. Of course, I've got everything else on there kind of womper-jawed, so it may be hard to tell. Okay, if I didn't have to keep wiping my hands, I'd be done by now. Oh, I'm getting a lot of glue on my baby wipe. Okay, here's our blessed. Oh, you know what? I already had one. I had the Choose to Shine. Did I use Choose to Shine again? No. Okay. No. But now I have blessed, and I could have used Consider the Beauty. That's okay. Yeah, I forgot that I had my other little guy already done. So I don't know if I'm in frame. I keep dragging everything down towards me. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so we don't need our Consider the Beauty. We'll use that another day. So it goes over there. All right, so so here's where we stand. We've got all these guys made. Let's see, a little sticky yet. It's okay though. They're looking good. And I did, let's see. Did put these two guys, these three guys have their strips. Can you see that? They have their strips on one side and the others have it on the other side. And that's okay because this is where we're changing it up. So, all right, let's see. Now I want to just go ahead and punch my holes first, and I'll tell you why. Because I want to add my hole reinforcers and I want to ink them a little bit. And I'll get all that on there and get that done. And then I'll round my corners and do my tag cuts, whatever I'm going to do around the edges, and then ink everything together. There's that. And I think this time, instead of using a piece from another print, I'm just going to use regular good old, I got some kind of brown, a little bit lighter than this brown, but brown hole reinforcers. So I'm going to grab those. There they are. And that part's going to go real fast. I'm going to get these on here. Hopefully they're not too crooked. And I like to put them on the front and the back. We don't know what is the front and the back or the back. Is this the front? Is this the front? I don't know. I like both sides. And I think it's kind of cool because you kind of got this little more, I wouldn't call it grungy, but kind of rustic side. And then you've got this side that's kind of dainty and pretty and plain in its own right because it doesn't have any embellishment, but it's embellishment. You know, when papers are pretty, I just hate to cover them up. It just makes me crazy. There we go. Well, I haven't given anybody a weather report in a while, so normally in my videos I'm usually talking about the weather when I first come on because I don't know why. Usually it's the lighting because we've had so much rainy weather here in North Texas this early summer. Now we're like almost midsummer here, but it certainly is hot enough to say that it's midsummer. But the lighting was always kind of goofy because of not having my good natural light that comes in through my window. But today it is hot, 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 hot. I'm sure that if it didn't hit 100, it probably got really close. And I'm absolutely sure that the feel like temperature, because of the humidity that we have, was well over 100. As a matter of fact, we were under like air quality alerts and heat advisories, and so we're in, I guess, what you call the dog days of summer. So, and that's why I am so happy to be sitting here at this time of the day because it is like it's evening now and it's still so hot. It just stays so hot in the evening. I'm happy to be sitting here in the air conditioning with you. So now I've got to decide what I'm going to do to these corners. I've got a couple of punchers here. So I like to do some all the same. So like I'm going to do this and all these little pieces are going to fly around. So this one's going to get all the same. I'm going to do that. And then this one's going to get all the same, but not that same size. So I'm going to do that. Yeah. And then just make my little pile right here. And let's see. Let's do Let's do one more of the big size. That hurts my ears. Okay, now let's get over here to this fancier business. I really like this one, so I'm going to do all the corners, sort of like a little, I don't know, like a little, 3 little knobbies. Well, 2 little knobbies and 1 big knobby in the middle. I don't know, but I like that. And there's this one that has just 2. And you know, I'm going to switch it up. And I'm going to do those on the top. And I'm going to do the tiny little rounder on the bottom. I like that. Okay. So I'm going to go back over here. So I'm not as crazy about this thing, because all it really does is just cuts a little divot, and it's cute on some things because it's dainty and tiny, but I think on something this beefy it needs to be something a little more, it's got a little more oomph to it. So I'm going to go ahead, since I like this fancier cut so much, I'm going to go ahead and do this one with that. So we've got a couple that are like that. This stuff is just flying everywhere now. And then on these 2 that are left, I'm going to do the bottoms. I'm going to round them with my medium size rounder. Then I'm going to do more of a tag cut on the top. So, get that out of the way. Get my scissors. See, there's always some laying around. Alright, so I think I want to kind of do this one like this. And I'm just going to turn it over and line it up on this corner. I'm going to line it up on this corner. Yes, I am. And then just follow that. And there we go. There may not be exact, but it's close enough. And then on this one, I think I'm going to kind of slant it a little bit different. I'm going to go at it sort of this way. It's not going to be that much difference, but that way it's just got a little bit different look to it going on. Lining up, holding it really tight, making a big shadow, and there we go. Okay, yeah, you can tell they're a little different. Not much. I thought it looked different. Let's see. A little different, actually. Kind of shows me that they're not really perfect, but that's okay. But yeah, this has a wider, this one's a little bit wider at the top. All right, well, anyway, I'm not going to obsess over it. So I've got all this going. So now, back to the ink. Get rid of some stuff and get this over here. And so I just kind of like to lightly, that's why I wanted to go ahead and get those on there. Lightly ink those hole reinforcers. Just get after it and do both sides. And it just sort of gives it a good finish. Finishing it off. I like it. Okay. That. Okay. I'm just going to keep mindlessly doing this. And then we're going to finish it off with some ribbon or something. Okay, we are on the home stretch here, and I have decided that because this has this sweet little green over here and this beautiful bunch of greens over here, that I want to use this here green ribbon. So I just think it's going to be all pretty and good, and I don't think I need that much of it. So I am going to do all the same on all of these. So I'm just going to take a piece that's maybe about this long, and I'm going to fumble around. I'm going to stick it in here, and to me that sort of denotes that maybe I consider this the front, just because of, did I cut this too short? No. Just because of how this looks here. So like when hang on, I'm trying to get this tight. So when I look at something and I see that, I don't know if you can see it, I see that piece, that to me is the front. To me, that looks more like the back, but that could just be personal preference. But that's what I'm going with. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So there we go. And it's kind of got a little fray, and I'm okay with that. So I may cut the next one just a tad longer and just see how that looks. But you know, it's kind of crinkly and it does whatever it wants to do. So do that. Doing like a, what is this? A lark's head? Lark's head knot. It's like one of your knots, I know. My husband's the knot guy. Okay, so we are nearing the end of this here project, and I am going to look at my watch as soon as I can click away and see how I did, how long it took me. Well, I can tell you, it's definitely under 2 hours. It's more like maybe an hour and a half by the time I get completely done here. So I think I beat my record, so that's good. And you know, for me, this was an hour and a half well spent. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed showing you guys what I was doing. I'm going to actually make another set, and I have this one too short. Thumb's not working. And I might do like something more like super fallish, like that really screams fall, because you know what? It's getting to be that time. I mean, I know it's, you know, mid-July, but honestly, the holidays, the season changes will be on us in no time. And I'd like to also kind of get into some Christmassy looking ones too. So, but I just thought this was, and you know, certainly everybody, a lot of people do mask making, and I appreciate it, and you know, one wonder at it, because some of it's really intense, and this one's just pretty simple and basic. But that's the point of it, is it's just an easy something to do, get ready for an event, have a cute little something to give out. And I know that somebody would, you know, love to get something like this. So it's just fun stuff, right? And you know, like I said, maybe this is something you get together with your scrapbook friends or your crafting friends, and everybody brings a little something to share, kind of like a cookie swap. Yeah, those are fun. Cookies. I must be getting hungry. Anyway, wouldn't that be fun? And or you know what? A recipe swap. And maybe you do like you do go and you're, maybe everybody brings something and you can fit your recipe on one card and tag whatever, and you put your recipe on there and everybody does it different. So you end up with, 8 different cards or however many, and everybody goes home with a different recipe on each card. How about that? I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, but that was just kind of the idea I was thinking about as to how to use these and if you needed, just a little something. So I love them. I think they look great. I'm very happy with these backgrounds and these cuts and the little embellishments and stuff, and that looks kind of cute. And anyway, so yeah, so there we go. There's that. Get some of this other stuff out of the way. And I appreciate you tagging, get it, tagging along with me. And it was fun. And if you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear from you. Just shoot me a note in the comments. And other than that, I think I'm done with this one. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks.